They're destroying everything in their path to save the good old US of A from good old-fashioned terrorism for your mainly pleasure. And because patterns don't lie, it's time to turn on that bright boy alert of truth as we get hard on this review of True Lies. Well, it's Valentine's Day, and that means it's time to celebrate the day of hard love and candy. So, cuddle up on the couch for a night of rom-coms and cucumber melon scented candles in hopes for that payoff for some hands-on woman action. And as we men play the long game to try to get to the end of the day without a fight, well, a fight above the covers anyway, it's just a matter of time before that leading question, how do I look, comes out of the old ball and chain. And because men are all about the long hard facts, it's a good idea to decide whether or not we're going to be sleeping in a bed of lies or dares to tell the truth. And we'll do that by first asking the age-old question, are there any hot ladies? And by hot, of course, we mean highly capable and original characters with huge amounts of talent. Well, hello, nurse. I've suddenly been reminded of my lower back pain. And we all know what the best cure for that is. A full body massage from our sponsor, Madam Hands on Wang's Filipino Palace, where they guarantee a quick and happy ending to any and all manly pain. And speaking of highly capable Asian ladies that get the job done, this hot lady has front and rear loaded this film right into their first point of the board. Oh, wait just a minute. It seems like they've added a diversity hire to the category. Well, she's putting in the work, I'll give her that. But my generosity has seemed to have gone limp with the ability to give them a point here. Alright now, looks like she's doing up her hair, putting on some makeup, and doesn't look half bad. And that's a chubby surprise tossing out those pajamas, but I don't know if that's enough to give them a point here. That's Madam Hands on Wang's Filipino Palace. Download the app and use the promo code HARDONREVIEWS to get off 50% for your first visit and the other 50% free of charge. Well, it's amazing what a woman can accomplish with a little effort and pride in their work. So that's going to be a big boy alert for effort and huge results, which also guarantees a very happy point for this one in a scheduled full body massage after the show, because my back is on fire. And speaking of fire, that's going to pull us off that category for explosive loads of action. Well, they're not jimmy-jamming around because they seem to be blowing everything in sight out of existence like Johnny Appleseed with a sack full of loads of action. Kicking it off with two dudes in the bathroom sword fighting as boys do with stubby blades. They're also pounding away on those bubble bassy woofers with unlimited ammo, missiles, sexy times, and nukes, which just seems like a typical day in Florida. And speaking of Florida, let those crotch rockets rip like one does at the local Hooters. And, well, that's why it's important to make sure that backblast area is all clear, kids. Safety first, especially when you're in that danger zone. And just a tip, always wear protection because, oh, well, when they're just hanging around on the outside, the boys are bound to get into trouble. But when they inevitably do, Madam Hands on Wang's Filipino Palace gladly accepts walk-ins for a quickie massage to get you back out there on the wings of redemption as a man with a working gun. Just be sure when you're a wingman, you're ready to take on those bottom-of-the-barrel sacrifices for the team. Let us know how you feel about the competition so far down in the comments as we answer the question, where are the rugged dudes? Hey now, what Simon says goes, and it looks like he's rounding third and coming hard and fast into home to score a point on the board. Oh, well, I guess the third base coach was sending mixed signals. Oh boy. Well, it seems he's premature in that roll of the fuzzy dice because he's forgotten one of the golden rules. Don't whiz on another man's lawn, especially if their fence is electric. Oh! Well, looks like the boys are taking shots in the dark and firing blanks because they're having a real hard time out there playing the field. And it looks like they've hit rock bottom here and may need an intervention. Fear not, folks, because when we need it most, God comes from the sky to remind us that it's all about that pump. Action. So grab that hard, thick, and misshapen carpenter's pencil and a slab of wood for some notes, while he shows us how to bust loads of action by land, air, and sea. Never forget, manliness is next to godliness, so be sure to pay your respects to he who walks rock hard among us. Otherwise, like the winner of the Abu Dhabi Terminator lookalike contest, you'll get dropped like a deuce in a urinal by the OG. And speaking of paying respects, one of our whores out there, that's HORS for Hard On Reviews subscribers, deserves a stroke of good faith this Valentine's Day, so thanks for the hard love from our 58th subber, Kevin R. 6930. Right back at you, big boy. And speaking of big, it's time to get those hands ready for amply developed characters. Well, he might be a little hairy in this film, but he'll always be Arnold to us. And he's clearly staying true to form, as he's thrown spycraft out the window to action man his way to one-liners and memorably explosive finishes. But being hard for a living causes one to be limp at home, and his attempts to connect with his family may not be enough for the point here. Wait just a minute, it looks like Helen is a woman that stands by her man god through thick and thin. Well, preferably thick, of course. It's all about that girth and wide berth, as she says, as she tries to get this category off with a look that, well, let's just say choose paper instead of plastic for your groceries. And you might want to prep that cab fare on the bedside table so you don't have to listen to her talk about her day. That being said, she creeps out of that sweatsuit and tosses those birth control glasses to accept the call from the god of action by taking his hand to pull her out of that wife dreaming of Fabio life to turn up the heat like a private dancer for her man and another point on the board. Well done. Very well done. Whoops. Be careful with that slippery pole there. Well, we might as well face it. We're addicted to loving how amply developed she is. Uh-oh. Let's give her a chance to pick that up. And there you go. Whoa. I guess that's one place you can put your valuables. And with that bright boy alert, I'm reminded that you can also put your valuables in Madam Hands on Wang's Filipino Palace, now with in-home services for a speedy delivery of your happy package. In the meantime, like and subscribe while we wait for that care package and get into our next category, What Obituary, where we look for signs of fisticuffs, death, and dismemberment. Well, other films might discriminate, but this film kills all types. From mustache men, hot ladies, family jewels, and even the Anunnaki lose a man-bird-lion beard man. Because when they're all bad, there's no need for discrimination. And even if they do all happen to have a certain look to them, it matters not, because when it comes to that obituary point, terrorism bad, Arnold good. And because he's a benevolent god of action, he also doesn't discriminate on who gets to do the killing. Even the birds do their part in the war on terrorism. Not to mention how many men go down on his hot lady's slippery command of that hard, black piece of rapid-fire loads. Short control bursts unless it's your first time, and in that case, just let it go. Because when a man's done, it's mission accomplished, as they say, for another point on the board. And on that note, don't forget to check out Hard On Reviews live on the Mailman podcast. That's M-A-L-E, man, for men after legitimate estrogen-free masculine approaches to the nowadays. Find the link in the description below. And speaking of going down, let's get into our final category, Nothing to See Here, where we take a long, hard look at the narrative. The good thing about a well-made action movie is a straightforward plot with no frills, just A to Z and a lot of kills. Just follow the quick-release formula. Establish a hard, rugged dude, otherwise known as Arnold Good. Put him up against a nuke-wielding, ball-busting, rocket-shooting jihad known as Terrorist Bad. Then be sure to put everyone in danger. And finally, as always, Arnold wins. That's the easy street to first base. Throw in a couple of hot ladies for a good old-fashioned catfight. Have him reconnect with his daughter by saving her from going down on all the dudes on the streets below. And of course make that villain a charismatic, likable, and understanding kind of terrorist by hiring the Abu Dhabi runner-up in the Middle Eastern Colin Farrell lookalike contest to head up the Crimson Jihad. Do all that and you'll be rounding third on opening weekend for a home plate finish and your final point on the board, and a true flawless victory that lies on the Hard On Reviews Hall of Fame. And with this kind of level of prestige, it'll be a day to remember with the pump action salute to the god of action. So for this Valentine's Day, don't trust that man brain of yours. Avoid that bulging urge to take your hot lady to the cinema and a night out of the town. Instead, focus on the task at hand, keep that posture erect, and round those bases for the home stretch. With an in-home experience you'll never regret. And if you get some pushback from the old bag, or that boyfriend comes home early from work, head on down to Madam Hands on Wang's Filipino Palace. We'll see you in line at the back door. Well, that's all we have for today. Thank you for joining us. Like and subscribe if you enjoyed yourself, and click your screen for another Hard On Review.